I didn't care that she took the car. I had my motorcycle. I could go to work. The motorcycle blew up. I went out quickly to buy a car so I could get to work. The car was stolen before I even had it paid for. But it didn't matter because I lost my job anyway. And then they took away the trailer I was living in because I couldn't pay for it. I got a job cutting the weeds with a hoe around trees in an orange grove. Then I got poisoned by the chemicals they use on the orange trees. So I was laying in the emergency room of the hospital and crying, God, how low can I go? And I felt him whisper, how low do you have to go? And I said, this will be enough, please, right here. And I remembered that I had not been living for him so good, because in my pain, I had begun to do wrong things. When my wife left, I got a girlfriend. I would still go to church, but then I would come home from church and I would be immoral. And I had gotten away from God, and God used all these bad things in my life to get my attention and to wake me up. And ever since I gave my life truly back to Christ and began to walk with him, he has given me more than I ever could ask for. This year I will be married to my wife now for 30 years, a faithful Christian wife. I have a job now. I had many good jobs. I went back to college. I got several college degrees. I worked at the Kennedy Space Center, worked sending men to the moon. I've worked in medicine, cardiopulmonary medicine. I have degrees in things. But now my job is even better. Now I get to tell people about Jesus. Before I used to work on the heart. I could tell all about the heart, every valve, all the arteries. I could fix these things. But now I work on the heart problem that's even harder to fix. The problem that I had when I came home from war, my wounded heart. Because Jesus fixed my wounded heart, I now help people fix that heart, not just a physical heart. So God has blessed me with more than I ever had when I returned to him.
Do you think it's harder to come home nowadays from the war?
Excuse me?
Is it harder to come home now from the war than when you came home?
I think it is, it's still very difficult to be in war and to come home from war, because war is such a powerful event. Death and killing other people. I killed many people. You can never forget that. Even if you come home and go to McDonald's, you don't forget how many people you killed and how many of your friends are still perhaps in the war and maybe dying. It's still very hard. Now it's better because from Vietnam, we were not welcomed home at all. We were treated terribly when we came home because the war was unpopular. Well, we had been there and we saw that people who lived there wanted to live in peace and they were being attacked. But politically, everything became confused politically. We had a reason to be there, but the politics got everything mixed up. Right now, war, of course, there are terrible things happening in the world, and without getting into the politics of it at all, it still is confusing. We wish war never happened, but when they come home now, they have learned because of the men from Vietnam. They have learned they need to welcome these men and forget the politics and at least welcome the soldier home. Thank him for trying to do a good job. Some years ago, I was back in Vietnam, and a person came up to me in a crowd and tried not to be seen because it is a communist country. And he came up very quietly and looked around to see if anybody was watching. And he said, "Were you here in the war before?" And I didn't look at him either. I said, "Yes, I was." He said, "Are you going back to America?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he whispered to me, "When you go home, tell those other men thanks for trying." And he slipped back into the crowd. And I've told many men that, thank you for trying. I've said, welcome home and thank you for trying. And I tell that to the young men now and women who come back from war. Thank you for trying. Don't get confused with the politics of everything. Thank you for trying. But they still come home with all those memories of death and injury that took place. And the answer is the same answer that I needed back then. Because war is from hell. Nobody in their right mind would try to kill other people. It is Satan and hell. Nobody in their right logical mind would just want to go out and kill many, many other people. And so when Satan and hell gets involved in your life, it's terrible. We can call it war or drugs or whatever you call it, but when that comes into your life, you need help. The government tries to help soldiers who come home, but they can't help only so much, a little bit. But I help them by bringing them to Jesus, to the great doctor, the great medic, who can remove the bullet from the heart, remove the bullet from the mind. The memory is still there, but the pain is gone. I'll be making trips back again to Vietnam, helping people, because they were not my enemies. That was a war situation, but they're not my enemies. My enemy was trying to kill me and them. My enemy wants to kill everybody. His name is Satan, and he's real. I go back now and I help even the Vietnamese soldiers, help them with their memories. I help them to know Jesus. And that's what CMA is about, to help soldiers, to help bikers, to help people from every kind of life to know Jesus, because we all need some help. Some people say religion is for people who need a crutch. I agree, and I need a crutch because I'm wounded. And anybody who's honest has to admit they've had troubles in life, and we need some help. If you say, I need no help, you're a fool. You do need help. In this country, we had a cowboy in the movies that I enjoyed when I was young, called the Lone Ranger. People say, I'm the Lone Ranger, I don't need any help. Even in the movie, the Lone Ranger had Tonto, an Indian friend. By yourself, you will die alone. You must call out for help. And not for just some other person who's just as troubled as you are. Call out to one who can really help. And that's God who made you, who understands you, who loves you, and has the power to help you. And I'm saying it's power. It's not religion. It's power to change your life. And I'm an example. I'm not a perfect example, but I'm a real example. I've been changed. My heart has been healed. I still have troubles at some time, like we all do. I don't live in a perfect world. It's still a world of trouble. But Jesus walks with me even through the valley of the shadow of death every day. And every day he's my answer. And he's the answer for you too.